Welcome back. In this section, I would like to run with you through a small exercise here. I think it's fairly straightforward, simple, and we all can model this now. Okay, what we are looking at on the screen here, we have three orthographic views. So we have a front view of a model, the top view of the same model, and the right hand side of the model, done in the in a standard orthographic projection system. We are also looking at the isometric view just to be able to convey the object very clearly to the reader. Okay, so we can see there is a profile that goes around like this. It is of a certain height, and if I were to look at other views here, it kind of gives me information about the height of the model as well. And there is also a circle drawn in the middle, so that's going to give us a nested profile, which would be left out as a cut or as a negative space. Okay, now whenever we are looking at orthographic views like this on paper, you need to bear in mind that these views are in line with each other. So what that really means is the object is literally flipped onto its side to be able to produce the next view. As you can see, if I were to look at this object from this direction here, I would see this profile here. Okay, I have some lengths and heights given onto the image. What I also have, which I think I should mention, the fact that we have some dashed lines here in the front view and the side view, and generally it's a standard practice in the drawing world, in the technical drawing especially, when you have a detail that is not apparent on the skin of the object, you indicate that detail with the dashed line. So that dashed line there speaks to me in a way that there is a cylindrical detail, and it could be a square detail, but I know it's cylindrical because there is also a center line running through that. Okay, so that center line confirms. So if I didn't know this view here, so I'd be missing some information. However, just by looking at that, I would know that this is a cylindrical cutout with a center line running through that, which tallies with that there. Okay, and this view is going to give me some idea of the length of the object, and this is the height of the object, which I need if I'm going to create an extrusion. Okay, so my extent is going to be 20 millimeter in that instance. I believe I have all the numbers I need to be able to draw this fully, and for all the intents and purposes, I wish to plant the center of the circle onto the origin because it just feels really convenient to do so, and all the numbers are measured off of that. So for example, the 50 takes off of there, and I can then start coming back inwards a little bit. So it will make a lot of sense if you were to say that is the origin. We can also argue whether this corner can be treated as your anchor point, your datum point, where everything is measured off of that really. So there are a couple of options to go ahead and do that. I'm going to try and create a version of this whilst I'm running the screen capture for you. Okay. First up, I'm going to start with a new part file. A couple of things about this model here. Depending on what you're trying to address here, you have to select your sketching plane. So in this particular case, I think we need our part to grow from the floor up like this. So any cross section you would want to draw, you want to draw that onto the top plane, and I can see anything I need to draw on the top plane is given by the top view right here. Okay, so if I were to sketch that profile onto the top plane, I'll then allow it to grow up 20, and in the end, hopefully I will have a result that looks somewhat like this. Okay, I will leave this image hanging onto the rendered video when I finish. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of some of these planes that I don't need, and I'm going to jump on top plane. I know the origin is right there trying to help, and what I wish to do now is sketch the circle, and I'm going to plant that onto the origin. I know the circle is meant to be 20 in diameter, 20 diameter. So that is cute. I like that. I also need half a circle around here, which I can draw as half a circle, or I can draw a rectangle and I can fill at the corners out, whichever one you prefer to do. So I'm going to go ahead and create a circle that is 40 millimeter in diameter, and then we'll think about chopping the bits which we don't need. So this is 40 mil diameter circle. Okay, I'm aware of the fact that I will need a construction line just to be able to create that intersection and remove that half circle which I do not really need. Okay, construction line can stay and it's not going to affect our final extrusion. Now I wish to go ahead and draw myself a rectangle. Sorry, it's not a rectangle. I'm going to start tracing the profile like so, without having to worry about any of the dimensions. But there are some things which I'm going to be mindful of. For instance, this, I'm going to commit to that curve relation, and I'm going to commit to this relation here, and all of this helps me draw a meaningful sketch. As you can see, this is a closed compound. Now all I did is I used the line command and I literally walked around it, clicking wherever I want to click. This is not the final shape I need because all the numbers are all over the place. And now is the time to address those issues. So for instance, I want the overall distance from the center to this end to be 50, and as you can see, it has readjusted itself to accommodate for that. I wonder if I can bring these numbers slightly out of the way so I can make space for some numbers that are going to go jump in that space there. Okay, I know distance between these two faces is 10, so I'm going to go do that. I also know this is going to be 20, so I'm going to make it nice and in line with that 10 there as much as I can. I don't need to worry about the overall height because that is same as the diameter of our object. Now there are a couple of things which are slightly off here. The fact that I haven't specified the depth of this cut, so I'm going to say that is 10 millimeter. Now then, you may wonder, well, we have got all the dimensions, but it's not fully defined yet. Why is that? That's because I haven't fully constrained that. There are a few unknowns here. For instance, I haven't finished detailing this end here. Let's do that now. How about if I were to say this line here, holding down control, this line and these two little lines, they are equal in length. Excellent. So I've created that equal relationship. Whilst I'm on the case, I would also like to make sure these two lines are collinear. So I'm going to select that line, control select the other line and make them collinear so they line up correctly. Okay, green tick to confirm. And if you're still in doubt, you're always more than welcome to grab the blue line just to get a good idea of why it is moving or why it is undefined. And if I were to do that, it will be all clear. So I haven't restricted that line to stay under that. So I'm going to go and do exactly that on this side here. Select that, control select the other end and make it collinear. Green tick to confirm. And if I look at the message here, that says fully defined. What that really means is we've done a great job in terms of sketching this, probably slightly complicated because I was taking it slow and step-by-step approach. I could have mirrored some of those, but we'll look at those in some detail later. For this time being, I think this is a good profile and we are good to extrude this. Look at that. Extrude boss base. And I'm expected to pull it out of the ground 20 mil high, green tick to confirm, and this is the model I needed. Beautiful. I have one more example here that I would like to run with you. It's fairly straightforward. There is some thinking you need to do before you jump into it straight away. What we have here, as previous example, we have the three views of this solid part here. So we have the front view with most of the numbers on it. We have the top view there, and we also have the right hand side view sitting in that space there. Now, what's peculiar about this is instinctively you may want to start sketching onto the top plane, but that probably will not be a good idea, because the way I see it, I can see there is a cross section here, which is that L-shaped profile, which is shown clearly on the front plane here. Okay, so that's sitting on the front view. So I would go and start drawing onto the front plane that particular profile, and then extrude it out like so, mid-plane extension, as you can see, and that will be probably 40 extension, and probably we can hit it with a couple of fillets, so maybe 4 fillets to be precise. And on this instance, we'll use a feature fillet instead of a sketch fillet. Okay, so first of all, going over to SolidWorks, snapping onto the Our Lovely Origin, and drawing that profile. So going a 40 across 10, come down, sloping line, going across, coming down, coming back at 60. Hopefully all the numbers are there. If not, we can borrow some of the numbers on this side here. As I said, the views are linked and they're related to each other, so there is no danger of getting that wrong. So I know from that vertex to the end here is 30 because it says so in the top view, and I know that sloping line is 20 long. Okay, let's head over to SolidWorks now. New part file. As we discussed this already, this time I'm going to go on the front plane. That's my sketching plane right there. Whilst I'm here, I'm going to go jump into the line tool and roughly sketch the profile without worrying too much about the actual dimensions in the first instance. Go across, come back down on the ground level, and click back. That gives us a nice close boundary. Now it's time to get the numbers in. I'm gonna go and say this is 40. I was hoping it won't do that. It did. It's not a problem. Sometimes it will scale everything. Because I sketched it without the numbers to start with, it decided to not scale it down, you know, and sometimes it will dynamically scale as well, really. So what I'm going to do is probably I'm going to lower that before SolidWorks decides to break my model and bend everything out of shape. Okay, I'm going to give that a go again. Well, that's looking more like it, so I'm going to go call that 40. Still morph that profile way off. It shouldn't be a problem. This number here, right, this explains everything then. Okay, that's 60. This little detail here is 10. And so is the other end here. Pretty good. This flat space is 30 as per the top view, and the sloping line is 20 across. That's not the length of it, but the distance between that point and this point here is 20. So I'm going to literally click on that, pull my the cursor in the correct direction. If you go that way, you'll be specifying the length of the line. You just want the distance. I'm going to go and say that number there is 20. Now I have some errors on the screen, and I wonder what I did wrong here. I probably tried to over constrain this then, which is correct, because If I specify that to be 60 and that's coming back 30, then this is double dimensioning, so I don't think I need that 20. Okay, I'm happy to get rid of that. Probably what I need to specify is the height of these 2 points. So I'm going to go and say distance between that point and this point here is 10, and then that constrains my sketch fully. It says here fully defined. Just going to make sure all the dimensions are sitting nicely and as centered as possible. That's looking good there. That's looking okay. 10, 40 around there, 60, lift it up a little bit, centered. Okay, once you're happy, you can exit the sketch, and I'm going to go extrude it out. Now looking at the drawing, I think I wish to extrude that mid plane, and the extrusion is 40 millimeter wide, like so. So I'm going to go ahead and green tick to confirm. I think we are nearly there. All we got to do is round off this edge, round off that and that edge. Okay, and for that purpose we can use the command called fillet. This is very similar to the one we used in Sketch. However, this is applied as a feature after the boss you created. Okay, very simple command really. All you got to do is activate that by clicking into it, and when the blue box is active, like so. And there are other subtypes, you know, if you wanted a variable fillet, if you wanted full face and full round fillet, there are all types in there which will look eventually. What I'm going to do is, instead of worrying about all of that, I'm going to quickly plug in the radius I'm after. In this case, it's 10, which is correct. And I'm going to go in a series without holding down control or anything. When the blue box is active, I'm going to make sure that it's picking all the radiuses. Edge 1. That's the second one. Third. And the fourth. You can activate the preview. I can then confirm that this is exactly what I wanted. I'm going to go ahead and green tick. And this gives me that part I was after. It confirms everything I want to do from the drawing. All the numbers match up. I have 4 of those 10 radiuses, and I have that profile which is sketched onto the front plane. So that profile sits onto this front plane here, 60 by 40, 10 millimeter wide. We got that's 30, this is 20, and that is 10 high. Okay, so this confirms everything. As you can probably see in the tree, for the first time we have 2 features, not just one. Okay, so depending on what you want to edit, so for example you wanted to extrude it wider, you will have to go into the edit boss command, edit that, and say I don't want that to be 40, I wanted that to be 60. If you wanted that change, and you can do that, and the radius will follow through. The fillet command will follow through, and it will dynamically apply that to the boss. Or just in case you wanted that radius edited, the fillet edited, and you didn't want to be 10 millimeter, you wanted that to be 8 mil, for instance, you can also do that by editing the respective feature from the tree, and that's the skill you will have to work on. Okay, I'm happy with this exercise. It's come out really nice, exactly as I was hoping for, and I hope you enjoyed this too. See you next time.